Okay.
All right, so this week we begin with Shemot, also known as Exodus, chapter 26, verse 12. We spoke last week about what to do at one end of the tabernacle, the opening or east end of it. Now we're going to talk about what you do with the west end of it. So, literally in English, if we go just straight forward, it'll say, and excess, or the leftover, that remain in curtains, the tent, half the curtain that remains shall excess upon backsides mishkan. Now remember, the mishkan is the tent. That's the, sometimes they'll call it ohel because that's the Hebrew word for tent, but this is a special tent. This is the tent where God resides. This is the tent where all of the important things that go on in the religious life of the Judaism of the time. So they called it the Mishkan, where when they built the building itself, they called it, does anyone know? Anybody online want to? Yeah, sorry, I just realized that. Somebody, that's your homework. Somebody write it in, tell me what that word is. Anyway, because, you know, a building with stone is different than a building made out of tents, so keep that in mind. So it starts off vesel rach, or the excess, the leftover. The dictionary said superfluidity, redundancy, concrete, what remains. It's the leftover. Then it says ha'odef, that remains. So it's the, I guess I can't say left. Yeah, the leftover that remains. That would make sense. Ha'odef, that remains. The stuff that's redundant is really not the right word for this here. It's if you tie a rope, let's say, you know, you're building a tent, right? The mishkan. So you're building this tent and you take your rope and you tie it. At some point, you're going to have to tie it to the top of the tent, right? The layer of skins that go on the top. You're going to have to tie to that, and then you're going to want to pull it down, and they're going to, bang stakes into the ground, and you got to tie it to that. And when you tie it, there's going to be a leftover piece of that string. It's wasted, right? Because it literally it does nothing, but it's that leftover. So now we're talking about the actual the curtain. We're talking about the leftover part of the curtain, because you've got part of it. Remember, we've been told to put, it's 4 cubits, and so you fold the half cubit in the front, and now you're going to push it to the back, and whatever remains beyond the back of it, they're going to tell you what it's going to do. So far, we haven't gotten that far. So that's the remaining part, riot, of the curtains, ha-ohel, of the tent. So now we're calling it the tent because it's talking about, using this word is the technical term, where the mishkan is, I don't know, what's the difference between using the technical term for something and
so you know it, everybody knows it, common, every day.
It's like the surname. Do you follow where I'm going with that? The proper name. There we go. The Mishkan would be the proper name of it when it's, of the whole, the thing as a whole. Because the Mishkan, it's kind of like, and it's going to freak some people out that I'm going here, but like the word church, right? The church isn't just the building, it's the people. They get that idea from Mishkan, because it's not just the tent. It's everything that's in the tent, everything that the tent is made of, everything that the tent represents, everything that goes on in the tent. And if you take away the tent, do you lose your God? No. If you take away the tent, do the people not have a religion? No. So that's where the whole idea for church came from, if you know what I'm saying. I'm just throwing that out there because I want you to understand the difference between the proper name, which includes all of that, and the word tent, because it's more of the technical. We're talking about the sticks, in this case, it doesn't include the ark, the table, the incense thingy. It doesn't include any of that thing. You like that technical term, thingy? We're just talking about the part that makes it stand. In the part I just clicked a button. I have no idea what I just did. Did not mean to do that. We are on 12. That is correct. Okay, I have no idea how that happened. Okay, then, so anyway, so we're talking about the tent. Then it says, Hatzi, that's half, the middle. It's from the idea of dividing something. So half. Ha-ye-ria, you hear that? That's curtain. The curtain. Ye-ria, the curtain. Ha is the word the, and ye-ria is curtain. Or veil. Then ha-o-defet, that remains. So the part of the curtain that remains. So he kind of already said that, but he's saying it again, if you will. Ti-serach. Now here we have, there's going to be excess. There shall be leftover. All that's upon ahore, that's on the backside. The part that's on the backside. So since we know that the front side's the east, we know that the backside is the west. Just saying. Ha-mishkan, of the mishkan, of the tabernacle. So the part that's on the back of it. Here we go. And the excess that remains of the curtains of the tent, the half of the curtain that remains shall be over the backside of the mishkan. Rashi said that the back was the west side and the entrance was the east. I believe he's probably right about that. I'm in agreement with him at this moment. Somebody can maybe prove me wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's right. So moving on to verse 13. I know that was a lot just to say that. Oh, you know what? Before we do that, let me grab this thing. Because last week I said something and I thought, well, that's just ridiculous. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, I'm looking at this wrong. So remember, this represents an actual scale model, like 1/1,000,000th of a scale. I don't know what all I did was I assigned a value to a cubit. And so if it says 38 cubits, then it's that value times 38. Simple algebra, right? You follow? So this is a scale model. So this is the top part that goes on it, and we spoke about this in the last episode. This part here is going to be somewhere around 3 feet of overhang, and I laughed about, I think it was Rashi's idea that this was like a woman's veil. But I realized I'm looking at this wrong, because I remember seeing some of these girls that wear these veils in the Middle East. There actually is an upper part of the veil, but the actual veil is here. So it kind of does. You've got this upper part, and then you have the curtain that comes down underneath it. That's what I think of as the veil. And then at the back, this is your leftover that we're just now talking about. This verse 12. Now it's going to hang down this way. And some of those veils have trains on them. That's why they're called trains, right? That's why you see to this day some women with a long train hanging down that literally starts here, because the whole covering of the face, the part that goes on top, and some of them, I guess not all of them, but some of them come down from here and wind their way all the way down to the floor, and it's like the more spectacular it is, the longer the veil, or the train, if you will. But that's what he's talking about. And to that end, I like it. I like where he's going with that. I like everything about that. Kind of neat. But anyway, let's go on to 13. It literally in English says, and the measure from this and the measure from this remain in length curtains, the tent, he will be, or it will be, overhang upon sides mishkan from this and from this to cover it. It's not as confusing as once you get used to this, and some of you guys are probably already used to it, but once you get used to it, this really doesn't read as confusing as it does for people who aren't used to it. But anyway, we start off with the ha'ama and the measure. It's always used metaphorically of the beginning, the head, and foundation of a thing. Especially, it is the mother of the arm, i.e. the forepart of the arm. The name of a measure, a cubit. It's where you get this word for cubit. So why was it got the beginning of the head, the foundation, blah, 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 blah. Okay, remember, Hebrew is a primitive language. Bible Hebrew is a privileged. What am I trying to say? Privileged language? Primitive language. So they use few words with lots and lots of meaning, where we in the West use lots and lots of words with very little meaning. So think about the forearm. The measurement of a cubit starts at the finger, ends here. So there's that idea. But also, it's to build a foundation. The beginning of everything in construction starts with what? The blueprints. It starts with the measurements. You can't build anything unless you know, well, you could build something not knowing what the measurements are, but that can get you in a lot of trouble if you do it that way. I'm just saying, just thinking out loud here. You should always start with measurements. 7th grade, what was that called, that class? That, you take shop half the year, and then the next half a year you're learning to read blueprints and all that stuff. I got to stop clicking these buttons. Good Lord. I'm in the wrong place again? Or did I just start there? The measure, the cubit. Okay, so let's just call it a cubit. It's approximately 18 inches long. Then it says mizeh, from this. So a cubit from this, the ha'ama, and the cubit mizeh from this. See what's happening here. If it says from this, what's happening is from this and from that. Right? They say it's this exact same word, but they're using it to mean from this and from that. All right. So even though it's mizeh is literally this, we should think of it more in terms of, since it's saying it for the second time, that. Something's going on. I don't know what. There almost has to be a loose cord or something. Well, let's just move on. All right, then this is ba'odef, the leftover, the remaining part, be'orech, of the length of the curtains. So you've been given the length of the curtains, right? And so now we're talking about there's going to be leftover, something that's going to go beyond the other measurements that you were given. Riot, the measurements of the curtain. Ha'ohel, for the, of the tent. Yeh, it will be. Saruach, it will be literally, but it will overhang. Up on, so it's not going to overhang the floor. It's going to hang up on zide, up on the sides. So because it's using the Hebrew word all, not like all in English, but all, the Hebrew word upon. So we know it's up, it's going to hang down the sides. Hamishkan, of the Mishkan. Mizeh, from this. Umizeh, and from this, right? So we just said the same thing twice. We've already talked about this. From this and from that. Lechasoto, to cover it. So now we're talking about covering it, right? So 13 is, and the measure from this side and the measure from that side. And I'm adding the word side. It's not in there, but it helps us understand it in English. And the measure from this and the measure from that And if you put the word side in there, it helps, right? And the measure from this side and the measure from that side, which remains of the length of the curtains of the tent, will hang over the sides of the Mishkan, from this and from that. So, and from this side, and from that side, to cover it. So this curtain is designed to cover it. Rashi said that the material overhung to cover up the bases, even though the text just said it was to cover the Mishkan. So he's not exactly wrong, but I don't know if I exactly agree with him either. The text does not support his claim, as I said, because it was to cover the tabernacle. Just throwing that out there. All right, verse 14. Literally in English, it's, and do you, covering to tent, skins rams from redness, and covering skins from to hire her. Which, from to hire it. Could be that as well, but it's feminine, so it's her. Ve asita. You hear it, don't you? Asa, you hear it. To labor, to work, to produce, to manufacture, to fabricate. So you're about to be told you got to make something, right? You're being told. And I want you to make what? Michseh. Now God wants to make a covering. La ohel. For the tent. He wants to make a covering for the tent. So we already have a something that's covering the tent, but now he wants to make yet another covering for the tent. You follow? Oh, rot, skins, to be naked, to be made naked, nudity. That's think about this though. This is my skin. In Bible Hebrew terms, this skin is not nude because it's got hair all over it. My chest is nude. Well, got about 3 in the middle there, but and I'm pretty proud of those. Just saying. Anyway, they're so white now with up against that white skin, you can't see them. But I'm just saying, I find them every once in a while. They're still there. Pretty proud of it. You know, if you don't have hair on your chest, you always wanted it, and if you do have hair on your chest, you never wanted it, right? But anyway, it's talking about the skins. There's no hair on them. It's a smooth skin, but it comes from the word naked, and that's why. If they say that if you don't have hair, they'll say your head is naked. Just saying. It's not about what we think of when we say naked and nudity. It's not about not having clothes on, right? Because skins kind of wear clothes. I'm just saying. Then so it's the skins of Elim, of rams. So it kind of sounds to me like it's skins that don't have the fur on them. Doesn't have to be that. That's not really what it's saying. But if you were taking it very, very literally, you would make sure that your ram skin had no hair on it. I'm just throwing that out there for people who read the Talmud. I'm throwing that out there for you. Me'adamim, from redness, to be red, from the root 1818, if you want to look it up, which means blood, from its red color. But now we've had something like either this word before or another word that's the same type of thing. When they talk about redness, yeah, because it's like the word Adam. We think of it as Adam in English, but that word is the idea of redness is not from the color of red, except that Dam means blood. And when they put the ah sound in front of Dam, Adam, then it's like man is made of blood. It does not mean that man is red-skinned, although I have literally met people in my lifetime that literally had red skin. I live in America, lived in Oklahoma a long time. There's a lot of Indians, and there's a reason Oklahoma means land of the redskin, doesn't it?
I don't know.
I think it does. That may be another state, but one of them means land of the redskin. I don't remember now. But they say that because if you've ever met these people and been up close and personal with them, their skin really is red. That has nothing to do with it. When they're talking about redness, often, and they use this of the word of the idea for redness comes from youthfulness, comes from being pretty and beautiful and things like that. But it's more about the idea of young, being young. So keep that in the back of your mind, because it may mean something. You never know. Then it says, u michse, and covering. So you've already got the covering of either young skins from young rams, or you can only have rams that are red, or maybe there's got to be at least a little bit of red in them, right? So what do you think it is? Either it has to be solid red. Where are you going to find rams with solid red, right? I don't know. Maybe you can think about how many this would take. If you're going to take this literal, and it all has to be red. I mean, this is God's temple, right? Anyone thought of the word yet? Just saying. If this is God's tabernacle, his temple in the wilderness, then wouldn't you need to find ram skin that is utterly red all throughout? Oh, I know. Maybe when you shave it, the skin is just red. Or maybe you got to tan it and dye it red. You could do that. Just throwing all those things out there. Ma'adamim. Ooh. Does that sound... Oh, I've already had that? Or yeah, I'm on the wrong word. Umichses. So now it's another covering, rather. Orot, of skins, and from the idea of nakedness. Tehashim, which is an animal, the skins of which were used both for a covering of the holy tabernacle and blah, blah, blah. They don't know if this is a badger or a seal or dolphins. It could be any of those three things, because you realize this stuff was written a long, long time ago. And over time, certain words change meanings. Oh, Rob, they do not. Yeah? Anybody want to puff on a faggot? Oh, that's out there, right? But my dad used to say that. Can I get a puff off your faggot? My dad used to say that all the time. My stepdad. Because that's what they called a cigarette back then. And we don't do that anymore, right? That's pretty outlandish. I wish I would have thought of something a little less outlandish, but hopefully it made you chuckle. Words change, meanings change. And so we really can't be sure if it was a seal or a badger or a dolphin, because all of these things are in this area. And they were very plenteous back then. This is way before, we've had thousands of years of overfishing an area and over hunting an area and things like that. So they were very plenteous back then. But anyway, it's the skins of whatever this animal was. Then it says milmalah, from to hire her, or from to hire it. Anyway, properly, what is higher? The highest part, the upward part, the top. Just saying. So your translation then is, and you will make a covering for the tent of red ram skins, or young ram skins, just saying, and a covering of badger skins, or seal skins, or dolphin skins on the top. Well, it's already got something on the top, right? Why would they do this? Well, realize up until this point, you've been making curtains. And curtains aren't exactly waterproof, are they? So I'm thinking, if I want something waterproof, I might want to go get a seal or a dolphin. Can you really be sure if a badger skin will be waterproof? I'm just asking. Anyway, Rashi wrote that a rabbi used to teach that there was only one outer covering, one half of ram skins and the other half of seal skins, while others taught that there were two outer coverings, one of each skin type. This is an interesting thing that Rashi came up with. Rashbam and Kasuto, because I love Kasuto, right? That guy was something. But these two guys taught that the latter explanation was more likely. However, They didn't give an argument. They just said it was more likely. Just, I think it's more likely. Wait a minute. Let's talk about it just a minute. Let's go to, we need to switch over to the image so I can, it may take me a second. Just bear with us. This is oneoldcouple.com.
It's not turning on.
Did it turn on? Yeah, okay, it did. Wow, I forgot how long this takes for this to work. Okay, so Rashi's talking about some rabbi. I tried to figure out which one he was talking about at the time. And there was a couple places where they actually gave a name, but I looked up the guy's work and he never said anything like that. So I think, truthfully, we don't know who taught it. We don't know where he got the idea. But where's the one where, let's see which one will do next. Is that right? Operation currently prohibited. Let me try this other one. No. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button. I think this will. Whoops. Come on.
Those wood dowels. Tint top, tint square, tint flat top, tint A top.
Where am I? I think it's this one. Boom. Here we go. I do apologize. But anyway, I like this image that I found on the internet, and to whoever did it, thank you very much. I want to give you credit, but I don't know who you are because it was just a picture that came up on the computer, and I just don't know where it came from. It kind of looks like they're doing, you know, I think what this is supposed to represent is a red covering and then a badger covering. Donna, can you grab this thing behind me? This looks like a dead animal. Badgers can be a kind of a white and a brown color, but will you switch this over so they can? And I want to show you what badger skin really looks like. Hopefully you'll get a good enough. Oh, there we go. It's actually a rabbit that I got at the store. I didn't kill any. An animal was harmed in the making of this material, just because it says it's real. But I want you to see what badger skin generally looks like. They do have the white and the brown like this picture. Go ahead and go back to the picture. Oh, this is on a timer thingy. Let me see if I can go back. Hope that doesn't like that one. Let me try another one. Nope, that doesn't work either. Now I know one of these works. Why am I? Well, it worked last week. Well, anyway, in this one you see that they've got the brown and the red. What I wanted to say is this could be made up of, okay, your cubits, if they're, what do we figure that was? If they're 18 times 4. So it's about roughly 6 feet. Yeah, roughly 6 feet. Okay, so let's say they're 6 feet wide. So you got 6 feet of red, 6 feet of brown, 6 feet of red, 6 feet of brown, 6 feet of red, 6 feet of brown. It could have looked like that, literally. Instead of it being two separate ones, the way the Hebrew is written, it could have been that they mixed the two skins. Now, they wouldn't have mixed, I do not believe that the Jews would have mixed the badger skin with the ram skin. But I do think that if they made a 6 foot wide by, I forget how long this is, 28 or 38, whatever it is. Go ahead and go back to mine, or to me. Okay, first thing that I should point out here, there is no width or length given for this, ever. It never says that the top 1 or 2 pieces should be so long and so wide. That is never spoken of. Now, the curtains, yes. The top, No. So the top can be one or two pieces. And Rashi said that a rabbi used to teach that there was only one outer covering, one half of ram skin and the other half of seals. So maybe one half really was red and the other half was of the whatever the animal was. We cannot be positive of what it was, but he did say seals, I think, if I remember right. I may have messed that up because there's three things going on in my head, but I think he said that. So it could have been one or the other. It could have been strips of the different ones. It wouldn't have mattered. But I don't think that they would have mixed the two because there are rules, there's laws that God gave against mixings of materials for your clothing and things like that. And so I don't think that they would have bypassed that with the tent either. I think they would have not mixed them. But they wouldn't have had a problem with hooking them together with the clasp, whatever those are called, the ringing things that clasp, that's the right thing. But so it could have been that one was red, like that image was kind of looked like to me. It was like one side could have been of the red ram skin or the young ram skin, which might have been more likely. Because, anyway, might have been more likely, I think, because of supply and demand. That's why I think it's more likely that it's young and not a single color. Although they could have dyed it and it would have made it a single color, but then you're talking about something that's got blemish, if you will, because it's not a perfect color. So I think that they might have argued about that. I mean, being Jewish, I just think that's a possibility. So I think they would have taken it as young and not as a color. So anyway, so you've got that on the one side, the other one on the other side. You're putting them together with clasp. They are literally not a part of each other. So I think that's the most likely scenario, and that's literally what it sounded like if you think about what the translation is. And you will make a covering for the tent of red ram skin and a covering of badger skin on the top. So you've got the badger skin, you've got the ram skin. A covering, not two coverings. It doesn't give a number here. So I really think the rabbi that Rashi's talking about was probably right. I think that it's the more likely. And so there I have to disagree with Rashbam and Kasuto. All right, verse 15. Literally it's, and do you, and you will make, that's what that means, and do you the boards to Mishkan, trees, shittim, standing. Remember the shittim wood? Which most people in America call shittim, but this is shittim. So we start off with ve'asita, asa, produce, labor, work about, make, manufacture, fabricate, right? So you got to make these things. You don't go down to the general store and buy it. You make it. This is et ha-kerashim. So you're going to make boards, planks, posts, pillars. All of that should be in there. I only have a board, a plank. I don't know. I think that they could make planks back then because they had boats that kind of looked like they had planks in them to me. So, that they dug up out of the ground and found still underwater and still pretty good condition that go back this far. The Egyptians had these and others, not just the Egyptians. So it could have been what you think of as a board or a plank, but it also could have just been a round post. I'm just saying, it could. There's no reason why it couldn't. And this is La Mishkan. So these are the posts, the planks, the boards, whatever, that are going to literally hold the thing up. And so you're going to say, ze. So there's trees in plural. So your posts are made of trees. And it says shittim, so it's got to be a shittim tree. A large tree growing in Egypt and Arabia, having the bark covered with black thorns. It has blackish pods. The wood is very hard, and when it grows old, it resembles ebony, which I think is black, right? So you're going to have some interesting wood. Now, whether that's still in existence today, I don't know. It sounds like it is. I would love to see it. I've seen pictures that are supposed to be of it. It didn't look black at all to me, so I don't know. This is omdim. All right, this is an important word. Literally, it means standing. It's to stand, to set firmly, to sustain. So you can build a stand that will sustain something. You can build a platform so something can stand on it. And so you build a platform and you put a chair on it. And that chair stands. But whatever this is, the purpose of it is to prop it up to support it. And this is used to stand in front of a king, to serve as his minister, to be set over someone, to confide in anything, to stand because you trust it. See, the idea of standing is from the idea of trust. So if you put a post up, you trust that that post is going to hold something up. If you don't trust that post to do it, you probably shouldn't be building that building. I'm just saying. To persist, to preserve, to keep a covenant, to stand to your covenant is to keep it. Anyway, those are the ways this word is used. So, verse 15, and you will make the boards which support the Mishkan of Shittim trees. Of the words support or stand, Rashi, Rashbam, and the Sepharno all agree that the boards were to be vertical, not horizontal, which would make sense. While it is obvious that they missed the idea that the boards supported the tabernacle, because none of them talked about that I found. If you find otherwise in the Talmud, send me an email. I'm happy to know. But at this point, I didn't find anything of that nature. They are right. I do agree with them that they were to be vertical. Even Ezra compared omdim, standing, to the manner in which trees grow and men stand. In other words, upright. Again, I agree with them, but I think that the thing I'm trying to say here is these boards, while we know from the sentence that they are to stand upright, the more important part is these are the boards. These are the posts, the pillars that support the Mishkan. I think, to me, that was the more important part to understand from it. Now, in verse 16, literally in English, it would be 10 measures length the boards, and cubit and half the measure with the boards the one. Okay, it's not so bad. Eser, 10. 10 of the, 10. Then it's amot, measures. Always used metaphorically. Of the beginning of the head. Oh, we had this. It's a cubit. So it's saying 10 measures. Orech. So the length. Ha-karesh. Of the boards, the planks, the pillars, the posts, whatever you're going to call them. The amma. And that's where we get the actual word for cubit. Always used metaphorically of the beginning. The head, the foundation. So I could have said 10 cubits in length, the boards. So the 10 boards are 10 cubits in length. Then it says, ve'amah, and cubit, va'chatzi, and half. So it's a cubit and a half. Ha'amah is the measure, or that's why I use measure instead of cubit, because you're going to have to learn to think of some words with more meanings than just one. So we're using it for the word measure, and we're using it for the word cubit. Rochav, the width. Ha-keresh, of the board, the plank, the post, the pillar. Ha-echad, the one. So what you have then, 10 cubit will be the length of the boards, and 1½ cubit the width of, remember this little idiomatic thing, the one board, of each board. They say the one. In English, we say each. So it's 10 cubit will be the length. I guess it should be cubits. 10 cubits will be the length of the boards, and 1½ cubits the width of each board. Okay, 17. Literally in English, 2 hands to board the one, from joining woman to sister her, so shall make to all boards mishkan. Remember this, another idiom here that we've already had. Shete, there's 2. That's the word that was missing on the covering, which is why I think it was 1. It doesn't really matter. If you have enough material that you could make 2 of them, one of them all out of either young or red or both, young and red, ram skin, and then the other one you make out of badger or dolphin or seal, whatever you decide. If you have enough to make 2 of those and put them on there, that's acceptable. It wouldn't be wrong. I'm not saying I would do it that way because I wouldn't, but it wouldn't be wrong either. Okay, so you have 2, and that's why I'm saying it wouldn't be wrong, because it doesn't say 2. Anyway, so 2 yadot. I put in here in English dowels. Dowels. The human hand. The human hand. Square dowels as a hand that holds 2 pieces of wood together. So remember, this is yad. It's literally the word for hand. That's your yad. And then yadot, your hands. So you have literally the word hands. But I put dowels because square dowels, this is used of square dowels as a hand that holds 2 pieces of wood together. So I want you to see what that looks like from something from that time period. So let's go ahead and look at the other thing. I do apologize. This may be a little rough, or maybe not. Right there it is. Oh, there you go. I'll put it on pause. There we go. All right, I have a little white arrow pointing. Can you see that little square dowel sticking out? This is from the very same time period that the Bible was written. Do you see if you look at that square, that's the actual dowel sticking up out of it. If you look around the rest of it, you can see the holes. Well, I think a couple of them actually still have the dowels in them, but most of them are holes. But can you see those rectangular markings on the very outer part of that sarcophagus? This is a real one, by the way, from that time period. I want you to see this. That's the part sticking out at that arrow is called the hand. So if you have several of them, or in this case 2 of them, it's plural, hands. All right, so can I move to the next image? No, that did not work at all. That did not work right. Let's see. Play. I don't know how to find it other than just to go through them. Again, I do apologize, but this is difficult to do from here. These are all images that we've already looked at. Oh, great. Isn't that just fabulous? We'll go to the one. Come on, do something. Hello? Oh, Lord. This is really upsetting. That's where I'm trying to go. It's a little further away view. This is the top part of that very same sarcophagus. And here you can see, I don't think any of the dowels are sticking out of any of these. I think these are all just the holes that are dug. So I'm just trying to get you to see what's being spoken of here. All right, let's come back to me. All right. So even though the word is literally hands, hand in plural, we're talking about dowels. Then it says, la keresh, the dowels to the boards, the planks, the posts, the pillars. There's going to be dowels. Ha-echad, the one, so one of them. Meshu lavot, it's literally from joining. To make notches on the edge and margin, to join planks by square dowels, from dowels resembling teeth or notches. So they're notches literally for the joining of these two things. Then it says Isha, which means woman or wife. So it's woman, El, which means two, Ahota, woman to her sister. So remember, this is one to another. So you have the square dowel. Now you have, it's talked about the little hole that it goes in, the top and the bottom, the one to another. That's, so hopefully you follow what I'm saying. Then we say ken, which means so. Or thus, but here it's so, like S-O, so ta'aseh, so you will make. So asa, to make, to produce, to manufacture, blah, blah, blah. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to make these square dowels that go in these square holes. Don't make a round peg to put in a square hole. Don't make a square peg to put in a round hole. Make them all the same. Lecho, to all of them. Karshe, to all of the boards, the planks, the posts, the pillars, whatever you want to call this, there's going to be two. Ha Mishkan, for the Mishkan. So your translation then is two dowels for the one. Remember? Two dowels for each board, plank, post, pillar, to join them together. Woman to sister her, to join them together. In this manner you shall make all the boards of the Mishkan. Two dowels for each board to join them together. In this manner you shall make all the boards. So you get the idea. There's two now. There's two possibilities here at this point. Either you're going to put two dowels in a, let's call this a plank, right? I can't make my hand. And you got this one. So you could put 1, 2, and bang them together this way, which almost all of the Mishkan that I've seen do this. They put them all together. Remember, I talked about this last week. If you do that in the summertime, in 130-degree weather out there on deck, wow, that's going to not be fun for the person who has to work in that place, right? Or maybe the dowels go underneath and they hook to something else to make them stand. I'm just saying, just throw that out there for you. So then it says in 18, and do you, that's going to be that asa word, and make you the boards, the posts, the pillars, 2 Mishkan, 20 boards, 2 sides south, southward. Va'asita, asa, to make, to produce, to manufacture. Okay, so you're going to make something, obviously. Et, which is a pointer, ha ke rashim, the boards, the planks, the posts, the pillars. La Mishkan, so you're going to make the boards, the pillars. Es rim, you're going to make 20 keresh boards. So, and now it's just saying, all it's really saying is you're going to make 20 of them. And then it says lefeot, to the side. It's a quarter of the heaven, properly wind, so called from its blowing, side, region, a corner, as of a field, of a bed. Here's a note. Jewish doctors rightly explain concerning Leviticus 19:27 and 21:5, it was prohibited to shave them, and the Arabian nations shaving them, like the Egyptians, are called in reproach, ke zuze pe'at, men with the whiskers cut off. What did that have to do with this? Oh, with the sides. It was a derogatory thing. Don't cut this stuff off. Kind of doesn't really have anything to do with this particular. Oh, but that's where they get the idea of the sides, the quarter. You know, these are the corners of your face, the sides. Anyway, they use that for that. So there you have your word for side. This is negba, which is south. That way. Just throwing that out there. And then it says temana, which is really southward. So here's your translation. And you will make 20 boards to the southern boundary of the Mishkan. Yeah, southward, whatever is situated on the right, the southern quarter, poetically for the south wind. But Negba, the word for south, the southern quarter, the southern boundary, sounds like almost the same thing, right? But it did say hence south country, especially the southern district of northern Israel. What was I picking up on there? Boundary. The southern quarter, the southern boundary. Yeah, it does say boundary. Anyways, that's why I use the word boundary. And you will make 20 boards to the southern boundary of the Mishkan. Even Ezra wrote that the Torah does not tell us the thickness of the planks. He quotes the Babylonian Talmud, Shabbat 98b, which says they were 1 cubit. They were that thick, according to the Talmud. The Bible doesn't tell us, so the Talmud's taking a wild hair guess here. That's a wide plank, people. Just that, as planks go, that's a stump. That's a 2 foot by 2 foot instead of a 2 by, instead of a 4 by 4 or something like that. That's a 2 foot by 2 foot. That's crazy. It could be though. It also doesn't. You don't have to think of a plank as flat. This word is not really relegated to that. It's kind of a small way to see it. I'm just saying. All right, I ran out of time. We will have to stop here, everybody. I hope you got a little something out of it this week. We'll pick up with verse 19 next week and talk about the 40 holes of silver that we have to make, or they have to make the same.